As of yesterday, Terraria has a huge number of new accessories in it. This last update added ones for whip stacking, carrying sentries, homing arrows, and exploding, increasing debuff damage, plus a bunch of new tinkers for them, new tinkers for existing accessories, huge buffs to existing accessories, and more. There's been a huge meta shakeup in the last day. This is one of the biggest updates we've had in a long time. This video is going to cover what all of the new accessories do and when you should use them. Let's start with what's new. Whip stacking is back, and it's a lot easier than it used to be. If you don't know what whip stacking is, there used to be an exploit where you could switch between whips to combine their tag bonuses and make your minions a lot stronger. You could constantly change the whip you were using and stack a ton of bonuses together, and that got removed a few months back. But now, it's officially back as a feature using these accessories. There are 3 accessories that can increase your maximum number of whip tag effects: the Silver Bracer, the Wicked Armlet, and the Mobius Strip. You get the Silver Bracer out of dungeon chests, the Wicked Armlet from cursed hammers and axes in early hard mode, and the Mobius Strip from Golem. They all stack with each other, so you can get up to 4 tag bonuses at once. Each one of these accessories has a unique effect to distinguish them a bit from each other. The Mobius Strip gives extra range, the Armlet gives knockback, and the Silver Bracer, the best of them, the easiest to get, and the first one that you get, triples your whip tag durations. When using this accessory, your whip tag effects will last for 12 seconds. You might only notice an 8-second buff with whips. That's because those buffs only last for 3 seconds. They're getting tripled to 9 seconds and then immediately going down to 8. Tag bonuses last 4 seconds, so they're getting tripled to 12 and actually last longer than those buffs. That means you have about a 10-second window to comfortably swap to a second whip, hit an enemy one time, and combine both of their effects. This is effectively the default whip stacking accessory, and this duration increase is what you're almost always going to have when you're using multiple whips. But hold on, I still have to spend an accessory slot on it, right? Well, actually, it has an Obsidian Shield Tinker, meaning that if you're the type of player that likes to use a knockback immunity shield, you can fit this accessory into any build that you were already using very easily. You get your first whip stack for free. Additionally, the 12-second tag duration makes hybrid summoner setups a lot easier to use. You can ignore the entire line about an extra summon tag effect and just whip an enemy once and swap to a different weapon. Maybe you've got 3 minions summoned for free and you want some extra damage on them, or you're doing a hybrid Mage setup or a Sentry build. So the Bracer is very good. That is your whip stacking bread and butter. The Wicked Armlet is your early hard mode upgrade. If you want more whips, you can combine the 2 of them together to make the Twilight's Grasp, which lets you stack 3 whips and keeps the duration increase. Alternatively, if you only want to do 2 whips at once, it's very reasonable in early hard mode because you just don't have that many whips to stack, you can make the Wicked Claws or Armlet of Ruin. The Wicked Claws are what summoners have been asking for years, a Feral Claws upgrade that actually does something summoner related and not melee related. It gives you an extra tag bonus as an upgrade. I'll be honest, I don't think it's as appealing as the Armlet of Ruin. That one is a Snapping Stone upgrade, which I'll get into later. It comes from granite enemies, and it adds this extra explosion effect every few seconds when your minions hit enemies. So if you want to stack as many whips as possible, make the Twilight's Grasp. If you just want 1 extra whip, stick with the Silver Shield or Armlet of Ruin. I think Wicked Claws could work well if you want to maximize how often you're hitting with 1 whip, like if you have a Firecracker and you want to tag in the speed bonus from the Durandal, but I think it's the least appealing of the whip stacking accessories personally. I know I mentioned the Mobius Strip, but there's actually another whip stacking accessory that comes from Lamia in the desert. It's called the Snake Band, and it's effectively an auto whip stacker. Every 3 swings, you will automatically use the next whip in your inventory to the right. That whip will only deal a quarter of its normal damage, but you'll get the full tag bonus for hitting with that whip if you have any accessories that give extra tag effects. The Snake Band doesn't have it by default, so you will need to equip it with a Silver Bracer or Wicked Armlet upgrade, but you can spend an accessory slot to not have to deal with the weapon switching. It's an auto whip stacker. The Snake Band doesn't have an extra summon tag by default, so you need to equip it with a Silver Bracer or Wicked Armlet upgrade for it to do very much, but you can spend an accessory slot to not really have to worry about doing the micro gameplay and weapon switching when whip stacking. The Snake Band will only let you cycle 1 whip, so it's not going to let you combine a ton of stuff later. You can tinker it with the Star Cloak, which I don't really think is that great. It's more just something you can do with it until you kill Golem, where you unlock the Mobius Strip and you can combine it together to get the whip tag bonus on the Snake Band by default, and you no longer have to combine it with some other accessory. You can do it all in 1 slot. This is a good late game option. If you want some extra whip range, you can effectively tag in an extra whip without thinking about it. Both of them get extra range, and you get some extra damage thrown in for free from the secondary backswings. Overall, the snake band is good if you're the type of person that really struggles with the micro gameplay of weapon switching for whip stacking. If you can do it, I would suggest just using the Silver Shield or Twilight's Grasp, because the 10-second window that they give you is very generous. Once you get past Golem, it's totally valid to just use the Ouroboros ring and forget about the micro gameplay entirely. Use 2 whips, 1 accessory slot on it, don't care about whip stacking, you just get to use 2 whips. For most players, I would focus on the Silver Shield or Twilight's Grasp. If you're trying to get used to whip stacking, these accessories are going to be the easiest to get and give you that massive duration increase to make it a lot easier on you. I wouldn't worry too much about the other upgrades. Like I said, these are your bread and butter. If you know what you're doing, go wild with the other options, but if you don't, start with these and stick to them. That's not all that Summoner gets though. There's now the Heavy Sling dropped by Ice Mimics. It's a new Ice Mimic drop. Normally it's in Hard mode, but it will drop in pre-Hard mode if you're in Seeds where Ice Mimics can spawn pre-Hard mode. It lets you carry a Sentry on your back, and that Sentry will automatically attack enemies. It's very straightforward and does exactly what it sounds like. Every Sentry has its sprite tweaked to fit the player, and each transformation mount also has custom sized and placed Sentry locations. You can strap an explosive trap to your back, grow a barnacle, keep a frost hydra on your shoulder, and the best part is that if you drink an invisibility potion, you become the ominous eyeball of doom. It's tempting to think of this as a summoner accessory, but honestly, this is more of just a general item if you want a sentry protecting you at all times. It upgrades with a cobalt shield into the Royal Guard's harness, so again, if you like keeping a shield on, you can just get this upgrade and carry around a sentry for protection whenever you want. There's also a Putrid Scent upgrade, which is kinda whatever, it's a tiny damage increase to all classes, and an Eye of the Golem Tinker, which allows all of your sentries to crit with a 10% chance. This one is a lot more significant, and if you're doing a late game sentry build, like with the recently buffed Frost Hydra that now uses local immunity frames, or with Panicking Ballista, it'll be pretty strong. Overall, it's more of a convenience and comfort accessory as opposed to something that's really strong. Also, it's kinda just fun walking around with an explosive trap strapped to your back. It's definitely the new mouse meta. That's all that Summoners got. I mentioned the Snapping Stone earlier. This is a new ranged accessory from Granite enemies, 1 in 80 chance. When you hit an enemy, they explode for a big burst of damage, and then the accessory goes into cooldown. A few seconds later, it comes back, and you can do it again. It's pretty simple. Do you want more damage? Okay. The Snapping Stone gives you more damage. It also has 2 upgrades that change the damage type. We talked about the Armlet of Ruin earlier, but there's also the Pyrolastic Stone. This is a Magma Stone upgrade, and it's even better. It does more damage, it applies on ranged and melee hits, and it causes this slashing fire strike that also inflicts Hellfire. These accessories are all good, and all of them, except for the Armlet of Ruin, are pre-hard mode. They're kinda just strong effects that you can slap on for extra damage. They're very impactful for general mobbing because that extra burst of damage can do quite a lot, and you usually have long periods between seeing enemies, so the cooldown doesn't come into play as much. You definitely don't need these items. You don't have to sit there and grind Granite Elementals just to make sure you get these, because ranged and melee weapons deal plenty of damage to begin with, but if you want to get them, they will be quite strong. It can be nice for higher difficulties, especially if you're on Legendary mode when you're looking for any advantage that you can get. They are particularly good with the next item, the Harpy Charm. This is a very early game item. It can be crafted with harpy feathers, amber, and silver, and it causes missed arrow attacks to home into nearby enemies. There is a long cooldown, but if you have slow-moving arrows, you can just kinda fire a bunch of them into the air and let them deal with nearby enemies. With the Snapping or Pyrolastic Stone, that homing arrow, if it's the first one you've had in a while, will explode into a burst of damage, which will often just kill the enemy outright in pre-hard mode. Otherwise, it's a fine accessory. I'm not the biggest fan. It's kind of a pity accessory, honestly. You missed, so here, have one of your arrows go back and hit what you were aiming for. The best thing you can do is just intentionally miss by spamming into the sky to auto-aim on nearby enemies. It only affects 1 arrow at a time, so it's not going to be good for multi-shot bows, and it's not going to extend the duration of Jester's arrows. Those will often expire mid-flight, and it can't redirect arrows after they pierce an enemy. It's got 2 upgrades in hard mode. There is the Seraph Charm, which lowers the cooldown and gains the Cross Necklace effect, and the Phoenix Quiver, which is a Molten Quiver upgrade that actually makes your arrows inflict Hellfire when redirecting. You get all the quiver stats, and you gain something useful on top of it. I definitely think that the Phoenix Quiver is the better of the two. If you're using a bow, there is very little reason not to use a Phoenix Quiver. Ranger has 2 more accessories, and I will fully acknowledge that they are not strictly speaking, the best items. However, I love both of them. The first one is a new hollowed mimic drop. It has an accessory now, and that accessory lets you cycle ammo in your inventory and gives you a damage boost. If you right-click when it's equipped, you can change how it cycles, either your entire inventory, completely at random, just your ammo slots, or back to default behavior. It will just go down the list of ammo, left to right, top to bottom, for whatever mode you have on. This lets you apply different debuffs without needing to swap weapons, which can be huge for getting stuff like Ichor applied when using crystal bullets. You can empty your inventory, stack a bunch of crystal bullets in, then place a single stack of Ichor bullets and go through every single one and occasionally shoot Ichor to get the debuff while maintaining as much crystal as possible. Also, if you're using a burst gun like the Clockwork Assault Rifle, each individual bullet will get cycled. It's a bit of a funny interaction. And the last ranged accessory is actually a wooden chest item that causes all of your arrows to inflict poison for a short duration. This is very much so an early game item. You slap this on with flaming arrows and a wooden bow and you will be a lot more effective at dealing with zombies, demon eyes, and stuff like that. It's great for the Eater of Worlds with piercing arrows, and you can upgrade it to the Sweet Barb after Queen Bee. This will let your arrows also spawn bees when they hit enemies. There's kind of a problem with this accessory though. The bees do almost no damage. They take, I think, 5% of the weapon's damage and then add 4 to it. And when enemies have defense, it really does very little. We're doing 1 and 2 damage hits against Deerclops with my bees here. It's okay on the Wall of Flesh. Adding poison and occasionally bees to a Hellwing bow is nice, but this accessory upgrade is not very good. It's probably the worst one in this update. The bees need to have more damage, or they just need armor piercing, because it's very sad seeing them hit for 1 and 2 damage when they spawn. Okay. We're almost done with the new stuff, but these next accessories are kind of incredible, better than what we've been talking about before. They're upgraded versions of existing accessories. If you take the Poison Barb and combine it with a Philosopher's Stone, you get the Catalyst Band. This combines both of their effects, and it doubles the damage of your damage over time effects. Doubles! Shadowflame knife stocks are going crazy! This stacks with Slimed and Oiled, and unironically makes debuff stacking as a build work. It was kind of a meme before, and it's still not that amazing. You need to dedicate a lot of accessory slots to it, but the debuff stacking dream is real! It's also just very, very good with the potent Venom debuff that now comes from Venom ammo and flasks, which deals 120 DPS in total. Doubling 120 DPS to every enemy you hit on something like a Terrorblade it's pretty good. We're just getting started though. Next accessory, Crossed Heart Necklace. It combines the Cross Necklace, a really good accessory, with the Panic Necklace, another really good accessory. I think this is better than the Star Veil. Full stop. The Panic Necklace speed boost is incredible and will help a lot with escaping when you get hit. If you're not using knockback immunity, the momentum disruption of knockback is also a lot less impactful when you have that speed bonus. Honestly, I would suggest making it over a Star Veil. I know what you're thinking. There's no way that there's another accessory better than these ones, right? What if we took a Cobalt Shield and slapped a Band of Regeneration onto it, mega buffed the Mana Regeneration Band, and slapped that onto it as well? Because that's what the Restoration Shield is. In my opinion, this is the biggest accessory in this update. Instead of making a Charm of Myths and equipping a shield, you can make a Restoration Shield and a Catalyst Band and get double damage over time effects with the same number of accessory slots. Just adding HP regeneration alone to a Cobalt Shield is great, but with how strong Mana Regeneration is now, this is an amazing accessory for mages throughout the entire game. You effectively have 4 options with your shields now. You can make a Silver Shield for whip stacking, a Harness for carrying a Sentry, a Restoration Shield for extra healing and mana recovery, or an Ankh Shield if you hate yourself. And then there's the Mystic Out Sash. It's a black belt with all of the regeneration effects that we just talked about. Importantly, this does stack with Master Ninja Gear, so you have an extra dodge chance accessory that you can slot into a dodge build. That is everything new, and for the most part, the only existing accessory changes are for mage accessories. The Arcane Flower now gives the damage stats of the Putrid Scent, which is kinda huge. Your Mana Flower is now 2/3 of an emblem on top of being, a Mana Flower. Makes that upgrade way better. The Band of Star Power gives you twice as much mana and is all you need to craft the magic cuffs. You no longer need the Mana Regeneration Band to craft them. They also give 2 defense because they are shackles and you have 2 of them. The Mana Regeneration Band now inherits the HP recovery from the Band of Regeneration, and it got mega buffed. It's about 2.5 times as effective at recovering mana, and because mana got reworked to let you recover while attacking, it is very good, and it stacks with its upgrades. In fact, It is possible to achieve unlimited mana by equipping 2 mana regen accessories and drinking a mana regeneration potion. You do have to spend several accessory slots on this, and infinite mana isn't actually that strong compared to just really good efficiency, but it is a thing you can do. You could just not use mana if you don't want to. The Mana Cloak also now summons its stars when you hit enemies instead of enemies hitting you, which makes it a lot better, with those stars also giving Mana Surge, which is a temporary damage bonus like an evil, twisted, reverse mana sickness. It's a very good alternative solution for recovering mana and getting some extra damage when you have good efficiency. Overall, these mana changes create this system where you have a lot more options for recovering mana besides just drinking potions constantly. Mana regeneration is genuinely really good now. And most of the accessories this update are really good, just don't think about the sweet barb too hard. I think Relogic knocked it out of the park with this update. Let me know what you guys think though. I slept 1 hour last night and I'm moving tomorrow and I have not packed it all. Please send help.